Hello again. So this is a challenge mode from last week, and I think this is my favorite challenge mode so far. So I figured it's better to post it late rather than never. So you see on this first wave, I'm aiming away from the mobs so they get on top of me before I kill them. That's just so they drop their XP on top of me and I get the full value instead of the reclamation value. I picked up Soul River. Soul River is just the best heavy weapon because it's kind of like a bloom cannon where one shot is actually like 3 bullets, so it amplifies the effects of things like induration, which are going to run in this, and fulguration, which is also just another good resonance. The other big important things on this run, range level ups were huge. I got this run really early on, and I kept playing for another, I don't know, like 10 plus hours probably. And eventually I got to the point where I was re-rolling until I got a range level up first, and then I also got the Soul River, and then into the, you saw there I picked up the Assurance, and that's the reason the range is so important, so that you can stay planted, and you have a bigger area where sparks can drop and you'll pick them up. And I guess I should, it's obvious if you're paying attention, but this is the timer hasn't gone up, and that's because the timer only goes up when you move on this challenge. So obviously the goal is to move as little as possible. And the Assurance is the only consistent way I found to not move for an extremely extended period of time. I actually, on my best runs, I made it all the way to wave 11 without moving. But then I died on those runs to other things. This is a very RNG heavy run, but it's a lot of fun to figure out. It's like super different than the way you play normally, so it's cool. And speaking of super different the way you play normally, you saw I picked up Static Field there. It's really good for these few waves, like that wave. It kills that boss super fast and kills the trash mobs that come in and hit you. I try not to use it on this wave, and I think in this run I probably don't use any charges on this wave, because you just want as many as possible for the boss wave coming up, the Corrupt Mirage. I think for most runs, Corrupt Mirage is like the great filter, and I think that's especially true on this run, where you run into some attack pattern RNG, and I get basically the perfect RNG on this fight. Here's the Second Shell Protocol. My favorite pick for Second Shell Protocol was the Mirror Image. But in this run, I just pick up, I'm not really getting anything good, so I just grabbed the Volatile Shell. It's pretty early on, so it's still good. In my later runs, I would be manually aiming towards those spiders to make sure they died. But you saw he did the like bullet storm and then the Omega Cannon attacks. That's exactly what you want to see. And he also stood still on top of me. And all that is RNG. If he does the mortar attack, you're probably dead. Or you have to move, and obviously you don't want to move. And he can also just decide to leave. Like sometimes he just runs away from you and then does his attacks, and your damage is going to be way lower because you don't get the static field damage. And he'll also, if he does like the bullet storm thing, he'll do way more damage to you if he's far away. If he's right on top of you like that, the bullet storm's just, the bullets spawn outside your hitbox so they don't even hit you. You saw I have the Induration online now, so my crits just blast enemies down. And it'll be really helpful on the bosses too, because it keeps them in place. And just makes a lot of things easier when you keep the bosses in place. But yeah, that's basically the run. I mean, the most of the stuff you're looking for is just like that. The most important build components are just the Assurance and the range level ups. The more of range level ups you get, the easier it is to stand still and blast. So I re-rolled for the Soul River, but I was debating just picking that Gaze of Ruin because I had some good runs with Gaze of Ruin. It's a good weapon because it um, has the discharge potency, which is really strong. Especially since at this point I was actually picking um, the shell protocol, where like the longer you stand still, the more potency you get. Eventually, I stopped picking that though. I don't think that's super worthwhile. But I had some okay runs with it, so it's not like bad, but I just don't think it's one of the best options. And you'll see I occasionally do some manual aiming. Those mortar guys are super dangerous. That homing missile guy is really dangerous. And then the spiders, you also want to make sure, just anything with ranged attacks, basically. Because they'll just pelt you with them over and over again. Stack up the mortal wounds, and then eventually it'll just take like any hit to one-shot you. Wave 11 here, that's probably the most dangerous wave. Getting through it with only 3 seconds on the clock is kind of nuts. Like this run just got incredibly lucky early on. I just never had another run this lucky, despite playing a whole bunch after I got this run. You'll see here I'm moving like so much here that I just don't need to move. But this is my first super good run. So I just didn't want to lose it, I guess, and I burned more time on that boss than on the entire, like every single other wave combined. I just super misplay that wave, which is part of why I grinded so hard to try to get another run like this, because I knew I could go really low. I think on a really good run, playing really well and also getting just the insane luck you need to get, I could have done sub 5. So that was my goal, and I just never hit it. It's a little disappointing. You'll see the way I use static field. I try to only press it when things are getting close to me, because you want to use the charges on the boss waves. Even if the boss isn't on top of you, static field gives you 20% elemental damage, and basically all the damage you're doing in this build is elemental. So it's a pretty good damage buff. There I got the second induration. Just straight up more damage. I couldn't find a build that consistently did enough burn damage on the last boss to skip the second phase. So I eventually just stopped building for it. I think double induration is just better if you aren't building towards burn damage to skip the last boss phase 2. And it's not imperative to skip the second boss, or the second phase on the last boss, because as long as you don't move, your time doesn't go up. So you don't actually save time if you don't have to move for the second phase. I'm there, you pick up, there's the mirror image. Ideally, I'd like to see that as my second shell protocol, but getting it at any point in the run is good. So nice to have, especially since the last boss has the like triple missile attack. Those missiles do so much damage. But if you have the mirror image, then you can just let the missiles hit you and not move, and you'll live. So it's really good for that. And these waves are actually pretty easy. Occasionally you'll have to do some manual aiming on these waves to kill those mortar guys, just because if you let a pack of like 4 of them all mortar you, you might just die, or be forced to move, which you don't want to do. But yeah, this challenge was really fun. I hope the movement timer modifier comes up again. I don't remember what it's called exactly, but it'll be in the description, the thumbnail, I'm sure. You'll see at this point I'm debating whether I take the range or not. It's definitely correct to just take the range. It just makes it, any wave with mobs, so much more consistent to get through without having to move. And I'm just building the burn damage anyways on my last weapon. I don't really know what the best one would be. So I'm kind of just putting the liquefaction on there because it's not bad. So um, yeah, I'll probably play the challenge mode for this week a little more, get a decent time, and then I'll try to get that video up before the challenge is over. I think the idea I have in my head is that I'll probably try to grind out a decent time on like Friday, Saturday, and then get the run posted um, by like Sunday morning. Try to upload it overnight at the at worst. So I don't know if I'll be able to stick to that completely. Especially my main game I play is World of Warcraft, and the expansion for WoW's coming out in like a week. Um, so I'll be playing a lot of WoW once that comes out. I don't want to skip any weeks. This game's still like a lot of fun to play, just the weekly challenges. So I'll try to skip to that schedule, but we'll see. You saw, didn't really have to move on the last boss that much, so getting second phase, not that big a deal. I had to do one dodge at the end there, and it might not have even been necessary. So yeah, I'm a little disappointed I never got a run better than this, but I figured I should post it anyways. I think it would have been sick to get a sub 5. I would have been so happy, but this run was really good too. So, yeah, catch you later.